works, and he's saying, hey, the community says they want to keep everything like it is because of the historic nature of what's going on, and so I want to make sure we're headed down the right direction. So if that's what the community wants us to do, if y'all will let us know that right now, so we can speak to that more so than doing things that, if the basketball courts and the tennis courts need to stay like they are in the historic nature, then, you know, give us that guidance so we can do what it is the community would like. What we have here, what we've been working on is not that, but I just want to make sure we're getting a feel from the community on what direction y'all would like, and the city, you know, has told us to listen to the community, so that's what we're here to try to do. Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to mention that Maverick, he was here tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
But he's on the phone.
Okay.
Along with some of our other members.
Okay. Okay.
I just feel like, you know, it's time for a change. That park's been like the way it is for the last 60 years. And it hadn't been upgraded. And it doesn't meet a lot of the, requirements that's necessary, especially for the disabled.
Yes, sir.
So it has to be changed. I think that there's a change, a new change is better than trying to keep everything the way it is. You can't keep stuff the way it was in the 60s. And in my opinion, the things that we spoke about, I don't think one person represents the community.
Okay.
I think that all the voices that you've heard represents the individuals that have asked for certain things, in which you've addressed some of those things. And most of those things are changes from the way it originally is.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, even the elevation of the park, changing of the way it is, a number of people, you may have heard from one person, and that's his opinion. Just like I just got my opinion.
Yes, sir.
But you know, you got a lot of people that gave a lot of good input on what they wanted. I know some things I agree with, some things I don't, but I think that where we are now is where we should be for the community.
Okay, and that's, you know, I don't know the intricacies, and then Mr. Roberts say, hey, I'm the president, so I want to speak to those that are here and say, hey, give us your input, you know. We want to make sure that we're here, and we want to try to get consensus.
I don't think anyone really voted him in as doggone. I don't know. I mean, I never did as a president of the park. That's just my opinion.
He's president of the committee for the park.
Well,
And
no
as far as-
one voted. I didn't vote him in, and I was there the first day that he came in. And some people that the community didn't even pick, just chose him.
the people
There was
that-
only 5 of us, there's 6 of us at that meeting.
And there's 6 of us that was there. I was there too as well. You and myself said that we didn't want no office. The ones that were there, they voted him in as president.
No one in the community was there to make a quorum for that vote, is what I'm saying. There was no quorum for that vote.
Actually, the North Highland Memorial Center, they asked to form a committee for the park.
This body that I'm with, the North Highland
Yes.
Community Center, no one never, huh?
And that's fine, I just wanted to make sure, I just want to open up with that so
Yes,
we
we
can,
did.
so we can have some dialogue, and I think Mr. Rubin.
And we beyond that point, you know,
Well,
as far as.
I didn't think that there was a quorum. I didn't think that there was enough people. There was only 4 people that really, like you said, that you didn't want a position as an officer, and I didn't choose a position as an officer.
Right.
And there was only 4 other people there, and they basically voted each other. It wasn't, there was no bylaws, there was no, I don't think there was a, you know.
We were just a committee to get the opinion of the community as to what they
Well, I don't
wanted.
think, I think the community came out and they gave us all the input that they wanted to give.
They came out to several meetings, but
But the
members on
committee
that
itself
committee,
came out.
we went door to door getting ideas from people.
Those
So,
same people came.
Can we can we just go and get some input from those that are here? I think Mr. Rubin wanted to have a comment.
I think things should stay as they are. There's a lot of history in that park out there that many don't even know anything about. Give you a brief scenario. I moved up here in 1958. My family moved here in 1958. The park was built in 1960. Believe it or not, I got a scholarship at Highland University from playing in that park out there, which I learned a lot. There's a lot of history out there that many don't know much about. And I talked to many people, and they want to see as is. That doesn't mean that you can't add to it, but leave that which is there present. Give you a good example. If you go downtown and look at the old Continental again, that building still stands, even though they got apartments in it. And there's a lot of history in that building. We want to leave North Highland as is because there's a lot of memories and flashbacks right there in that in the North Highland Park. That's my opinion. This is the neighborhood I grew up in, and we love it. Now, if you add to it, okay, add to it in a way where you don't destroy that which is here. So when people from out of town that live here come here, they can reminisce with what's present.
Okay. And I think, maybe
My name is Barbara Robinson. I'm a part of the North Highland Memorial Community Center, and I'm also a part of the North Highland Park Committee. And what I'm here for tonight, we have been going back and forth, back and forth. Yes, they already done, you all done told us, there's a lot of stuff, even what we want, some of the stuff we might not even get. My thing is, I need to know when y'all plan on starting doing anything besides what they already done. They done tore down the bathroom, they done put a porta potty over there, that's fine. But we need to start seeing some actual work. What is the, you got a first level, a second level, third level, whatever. Our thing is you can enhance what you have. If there are several things, I noticed that I had took pictures of where they emphasized down in Pratt Park, down on the playground down there. They enhanced a lot of stuff that they put down there for us, the slides, for us the benches where you sit on with the umbrellas over them. That's pretty much, I understand when they were saying trying to keep some of the legacy there. See, just like those swings over there, you will never find that kind of steel or whatever piping there is. You can beautify it, you can keep it, that and put beautiful swings on it. That's what they're talking about. Some things that can be enhanced. Our biggest thing is, we don't negotiate enough. We need to see some action. Because all you're doing, we can go from now till I'm 100 years old, which that'll be 31 years from now. And I don't want to be arguing at 100 years old, there's still the same stuff over there, nobody did nothing. Only thing they did do was put a gazebo over there. But it's other stuff that you all can, what we need to talk about, and I thought the discussion would be, what is the levels, what is the steps that we're getting ready to do? And as progress starts, then even when people look back and say, oh, I didn't know it was gonna look like that, everybody can accept the change. You don't understand what I'm saying? Sometimes things just need to start. We need a start.
Yeah.
We don't need this negotiation. I'm sick of it.
We're ready to start.
And the main thing is we need a start date, and then what is your first outline of what y'all plan on doing for as trying to improve the park? That's what we need to know.
Yes, ma'am. The first step is to figure out, get a consensus from the community on where we're headed, and then we draw it up and construction will start in a few months from there. So that's why I'm asking right now to make sure we understand which direction, because if it's keeping what's there versus bringing the new stuff that we talked about last time, we need to know so we can draw it up as quick as possible, because the mayor and Councilman Jackson is ready to start construction. And we want to start construction. We know y'all are ready to see it, but we just want to make sure at the end, when we finish, everybody's happy with what they see.
Because if you could have been up here Sunday,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
we had our East End con, and watch those kids, how they enjoy the basketball courts and stuff. The only reason kids didn't play tennis because, you know, all that been kind of the little sport part been taken away. You know, kids will enjoy what they have if they got it set up for them to do.
Okay.
And I know y'all talking about the parking, and if you start, doing the parking, my thought was, where you was gonna do the parking was on the backside of where, the pavilion. Start making room on that way to start doing parking, that's a level ground, where y'all can do parking. Yeah, and also enhance this parking coming up this hill, but not take away what we already got up in there.
Okay. I think that young man had his hand up. No? You sure?
I'm sorry, Lord, I'm sorry.
Okay, we want to hear from everybody. You took the time to be here, we want to make sure we hear your voice.
I'd rather just hear what you have to present.
Okay, well, we're gonna present what we have, but, and that may change when we leave here tonight. It sounds like, unless something, I hear a consensus, and I know Mr. Pete says, hey, we'd like to see new, and we hear some, and no, we prefer the old to remain. But, you know, we'll tell you what we got, but I can tell you right now, this is more of new, so, if the consensus when we leave here tonight
I
is.
do have one question.
Yes, sir.
I'm originally from Prep, grew up in Prep, played in that park, and you know I've been working here remote probably the last 2 months, and the one question I do have is why this park, the last park? Because I've noticed about every park has been redone. Why this park, the last park?
I can't speak to that, sir.
Again,
I can't speak to that.
I mean, you know, that's just the biggest question I have. I mean, I get what you presenting. Why this park, the last park?
I can't speak to that. I don't know if it's the first or the last. It's the first one we've done. That's all I can say.
So who are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm Cedric Campbell with Google Mills and Kaywood. We're the consultants that the city has hired to design the project.
You mean, why is it the last part that's being renovated or whatever?
Correct.
Well, the mayor's here and our city council, maybe they can answer that question.
Yes.
Hey, I'm the park and rec director. It's not the last part. It's actually, we've just renovated Pratt Park, and we've started with Newton Park, and then this park's been on the list. So it's in line with the third park. We have tiered projects. This is the tier 2 projects that we're starting. It's
Wrong, because I haven't seen anything done in this park in 50 years. I've seen new parks, new additions. I hear what you're saying.
Yes, sir, and technically, and technically, that's not considered a park, that's a complex. So that's considered a software complex we're talking about up there. We don't consider that, we don't name that a park, but I understand what
I
you're saying.
understand. So if I took a 5-year-old kid, would they consider that a park? Probably.
So,
Yes,
I mean, but I'm just saying, that's my question, but go ahead.
yeah, if we can not get off on that tangent, but just let us talk about what we have here tonight. And I know, that gentleman came in a little late. What we're talking about is what I heard from Mr. Roberts today is more residents want to keep the park like it is versus bringing in new. So we're just trying to get a consensus from those that are here, if that was the general feeling or not. And then so, that's how we started out, you know, because last meeting what I heard was, hey, work on keeping the pavilion. Mr. Pete brought that up, and we've done that, and we'll be looking at kind of upgrading the roof on the pavilion, but we're looking at keeping the pavilion, keeping the gazebo, and then we're bringing in a lot of other things that are new. And so if the consensus for the community is we won't keep the old basketball courts, we want the old tennis courts to stay like they are, then that's a whole different concept. And so, you know, we'll have to shift things around to try to allow that to be the case. Yes, sir.
So what happened between the last meeting and this meeting, where the last meeting, I thought we were somewhat in agreement as far as you guys gonna look into that landmark layout and look into something like that?
Yeah.
What happened with that?
I had the same understanding you did until I got an email today, so that's why I asked the question.
He walked in later.
Yeah, because Mr. Roberts, you know, sent an email saying the consensus of the community at large is what's in place now is historic in nature, and the community wants to keep those existing courts. Mr. Maverick Roberts. So,
really, how did that come about?
I'm not sure, but that's why everybody's here tonight, and I wanted to
I
make
don't
sure.
see how that can even come about. I haven't seen any polls or anything like that, any additional meetings or anything like that, so I don't see how that even came about to where that's a consensus. So,
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
But we got here tonight, it seems like there is a strong opinion about keeping what's there, and then there's a strong opinion about, bringing in new. So we're gonna kind of talk about what we got, but as we talk, before we leave here tonight, I want to try to get a consensus on which direction to head, because last thing we want to do is work hard with the city and with the community and have a product, and at the end of the day, everybody's not happy with it. So, we're gonna kind of talk about what we got here, but before we leave tonight, I'd love to circle back and make sure that we headed in the right direction. And Amanda and John's gonna try to kind of lead us into where we are today, which is kind of a combination of what we heard in the last meeting.
Hey, I'm Amanda. So I'm just gonna let you know what we're gonna present to you today, and it will change after this meeting, just keep in mind. But so in this version, we're keeping the existing pavilion and bringing in a new restroom. We're gonna replace the picnic tables underneath the existing pavilion and have the roof not replaced but repaired. In this version, we have some parking into actually the tennis court. So if you don't want to do that, just let us know. But we wanted to flatten that area out so you'll have a flatter parking lot. We have reduced the number of basketball courts. We tried to put in a tennis court and it wasn't working. So we reduced it to 2 basketball courts, which is less than what you have now. But it does reduce the amount of that retaining wall that we have to replace. So it needs to be replaced. Definitely, it's a hazard. And in this version, we have replaced the retaining wall that's to the north also of the courts. Yeah. So that'll just be, you can walk from the basketball courts up to the playground, and this is a new playground with the rubber surfacing. If anyone's interested, I have some images right here. We can pass it around just so you have an idea of the types of things we're putting in it. There's a whole list of things too. It's a whole page. Several pages. Several pages. There's playground equipment and there's lighting and all sorts of stuff. We have the picnic tables that are in there. You'll see they're in-ground mounted. That'll be underneath the pavilion. There's not a lot of room for the budget to have a lot of those, so I'm only showing 2 on the plan. We have some shade up by the new playground with 1 bench, but we're keeping the existing swing set and replacing the seats. The actual like swinging part, but the steel frame will remain there and it will remain in the location that it's in. We're gonna make this access ADA accessible, because right now it is not ADA accessible. It needs to be repaired and it'll be graded to be flatter. You can use a stroller up there if you want to. There's not a lot of, and the playground's fenced in with a 2-rail wooden fence, like you were talking about. There's no gates currently on it, but
Just the openings.
yeah, there's openings for the sidewalk. And this one, the sidewalk connects to that existing sidewalk. The shade sail. This is a walking trail. It goes around here. We're keeping that existing gazebo. And there's some trees, extra trees. If they won't get big, they won't provide a lot of shade for a while. But eventually it will.
And on the trees, Amanda, the plan is taking out the pine trees, keeping the shade trees, right?
Exactly. Not all the pine trees. some selected pine trees that seem to be in the way and will get in the way of grading.
What kind of trees are we gonna put in there? Some broadleaf trees?
Yeah, that's what you
Elms
guys
or something
wanted,
like that?
right?
That'll-
Not pine trees.
You gonna put oak trees in there?
That's the biggest leaf you got.
White oak, red oak trees?
We can decide that once
We're
we
not
get
there
there.
yet.
We're not there yet, but we can decide that.
If you have input,
Yeah.
I just, okay.
yeah, absolutely. If you have ideas, let us know. And then we have pedestrian lights. We have 3 right here. They're not the tall lights. They're a little bit taller than me, I think. Maybe a little bit taller than that.
Yeah, they taller than you.
Yeah, they're taller than me.
They're about 18 feet.
Not pedestrian lights.
I thought about 18 feet.
14 to 18, depending on which variety we get.
Oh, really?
There's an example picture of one in there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty tall.
It's
It's 19. It'll be 16 yet.
Okay. Okay. They'll be tall. But they're not floodlights. Yeah. I think that's all the things that we've changed.
How many lights we got in the back of it now?
Yeah,
Already.
keeping the
Oh,
existing
just
pavilion, I think, saves
think they were
a
gonna
lot.
add.
I mean, reuses the
I
existing
think they were gonna
structure.
add.
Was that structure built, how long ago? Y'all remember?
I think Mr. Rubin said the park was here in the
Well,
60s.
Not sure that.
Not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one, there was one there, but not that particular one, I think, Councilman Woods was the councilman, I think that's when they,
I mean, the bones of it is in pretty good shape.
Right.
Like y'all said, so just
it's
replacing.
still in good shape.
Yeah,
Mhm.
cleaning out underneath.
Getting rid of
getting
the
rid of
grill.
The grill, taking
Rid of
that
the
out.
grill. Probably, yeah, just renovate, redoing it,
Yeah.
making it look better. But it's solid though.
It
Yeah.
is. I checked it
And
out.
the codes are still true. I went over and tested to make sure with my instruments, to make sure that everything we talk about is in fact true.
And the tables underneath will be replaced.
Replace.
Yep.
There's 4 right now.
4.
And
Yeah,
well,
we could probably,
reduce it.
yeah, well, it'd be nice to have, put 4 back in there.
It would be.
To have them, and they'll be permanent, they won't move them around, they'll be in the ground, so.
Well, since you're gonna take the park place out, it should be, if it's 4 there now, we probably, maybe 5 or 6 of them.
That's right, that's right.
We have the
There's
room.
space for them, we just figure out with the budget and what, do we put more picnic tables on the pavilion, or do we add another straight shade structure? That's the kind of stuff we work with, but yes, it'll be benches up there, definitely.
And then we talked about the gazebo, this is kind of an example of a shade sail by the playground, right there. And,
An example of the basketball court, the way it'll look, and then.
Yeah, well, if we're gonna keep existing, we could probably look at, restriping it, resurfacing it, keeping that existing kind.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And then have blue and gold, the colors of North Highland.
Right. That's an acrylic coating.
Yeah.
But parking, I know parking's, we're gonna keep this,
How many-
since we work down here, the parking is gonna have to be reworked a little bit.
Yeah, parking's gonna be a challenge. If we keep the existing tennis court area, then we've gotta figure something else out with parking.
How many cars deal with parking at extra parking that y'all got there? If they decide not to keep the tennis court for right now, how many more cars can get in there?
Right now, we have 17 spaces.
No,
And before, the plan we had last time came all the way over here.
Yeah.
And so in that one, I think it was roughly 60, coming from this side to that
60.
side. I believe 50, 60, somewhere in there. But we've scaled it back due to the budget.
The plan that you had before, that was with the, existing tennis court, that was gonna be replaced with the parking space, right?
Yes, and it's still that way today. We just didn't come all the way down due to the budget. We're trying to tighten it up to remain with it, to try to stay in the budget, in the realms of the funding that we have. and not use all the money on parking, but have money for playground and shade structures and other things. But if the community says, hey, we need to keep the tennis court, the challenge for me as a civil engineer is it's pretty tight between that pavilion and the property line. We're stuck at the property line. So if we try to put parking in this corridor, there's gonna be a lot of retaining walls in there to try to make that work. And if that's what the community tells us, hey, that's what we want this to stay like it is, then I've gotta go in there and try to figure out how many spaces I can get in there and try to remain within the budget. But I can tell you today, there will be a lot of retaining walls to make that work due to the grading that it's gonna take.
Well, in our meetings, we had talked about the mayor and Marcus, and I said, well, and the meeting had talked about, that existing property to the right of the park.
Yes, ma'am.
That area,
Livingston property.
owned by the Livingstons.
Yes, ma'am.
And we in process now of talking to her about, selling that property to the city. I just talked to the mayor this afternoon, and he said he had talked to Ruthie about possibly selling that for parking space. That's why my mind has been set on not taking up that, tennis court and that basketball court, because we are trying to negotiate with her so we can have parking space on her property for the park.
And if the mayor and councilman says, hey, that's the direction we wanna go, and looking at additional parking comes over here, then we'll head in that direction. We just know that that's gonna require acquiring that property, or a portion of the property for the parking. So right now that doesn't exist, so
Yeah.
unless somebody says, hey, that's the direction we headed, then I don't wanna go there and know that you won't have the parking. So the mayor's about to speak out here.
Yes, if you don't mind, and appreciate you bringing it up. And I'd like to tag on a couple other little things here too. I had at the last meeting here, I actually reached out to a counselor, our county commissioner that was here, and some others about, what could the county possibly do to help with some of the groundwork, the grade work and everything, and talk with Cedric and so forth, and we're looking at that, and I think you will talk some more with them, but right now the county says that they think it's outside of their scope of expertise on that one. Going back to the Livingstons, I had one conversation, I was hoping that she thought she might be here this evening, because she would get some more information, but I have had a conversation, and but right now, the ball is in their court. First steps, as I mentioned to her, we would need some permissions from their family to get a appraisal on the property. And so, there's some hopes and wishes and prayers that might come about, but right now, I don't know that we can count on that. Right now, we cannot count on the county. And one thing that I do need to ask your crew,
Yes, sir.
to take a real close look at about, I think I called it, 22nd Street.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Can you triple verify that that is ironclad, the city of Providence?
Yes, sir.
Because in the conversation today, there were some comments made about contesting the way the city has acquired the park. So I need to make certain that all of our boxes are checked, and so that way we can.
Well, wasn't that surveyed and?
Yes, the
they-
surveys,
They did all of that.
we did a survey and looking at the deeds in the area, and it shows that it's being city right away. And so we will get that information to the city attorney and let him do a title search. That's outside of our area expertise. He's doing a title search to make sure nothing else has changed over the years. But from what we can tell, that is right away.
And if you don't mind, if you could, and I had talked with Andrew Odom, city attorney, this evening about triple checking the way we have gotten the deed. Because the last thing we need is trying to move forward on this and do a lot of work here, and then all of a sudden there's a lawsuit which will tie it up potentially for who knows how long. So we just need to make certain we cross all the T's and dot all the I's, because this project is one that I really wanted, and I think this community wants it. I know Councilman Jackson wants it, but we've got to cross the T's, dot the I's. Can't count the chicken until the egg comes about and so forth. But anyway, we're working forward to the future. Everything will be done, but again, we can't get the cart before the horse. I've been talking about this about a park project since 2016. And finally we're able to get some funding for this. And so the more we can get together, the more we can coordinate, the more we can keep the prices down.